Welcome to the MordorBBS Podcast. Visit us at www.MordorBBS.com for pop culture news, views, and information. Be the first on your block to simply walk into Mordor. Your hosts for this podcast are Signal and Gameplay Jenny.
I've been spending an awful lot of time recently playing online games, massively multiplayer or just group play, whatever you want to call it. I've been playing World of Tanks, and I've been playing a couple of bigger games like EVE Online and Perpetuum Online. Now, I can't help but notice that there seems to be an awful lot of grumpiness and...
outright cheating, I think, are the words you're looking for.
Yes,
there, Rob.
outright cheating and simple poor sportsmanship associated with a lot of these games. I don't know whether it's because a lot of the players are younger and there's something to do with lack of consequences there leading to this poor behaviour. But it's not just these big online games that seem to be doing it. I think we've had problems in the past with Scrabulous, which was an online Scrabble game. I'm sure you remember that, Jenny.
I certainly do. That was one of our favourites, and they took it down.
Well, yeah, they did, unfortunately, I think, steal the game off whoever it is who's responsible for Scrabble. And
allegedly it was for copyright reasons, but I'd like to think they took it down to stop the fact that every other player was an outright cheat.
Yes, and they did it using whatever game mechanic they are able to. Now, I think in the case of Scrabulous, it was once you were ahead on points, you simply stop playing and just sit there and wait for the timer to run out. Other games, shooting games and so forth, you've got your aimbots and your grenade jumps. You lob a grenade at someone and that person simply jumps over it, and for whatever game mechanic reason, they don't blow up. I know that used to annoy the hell out of me. It's stuff, however, that people wouldn't do if you were playing a game with them face to face.
That's right. I would never just get up from a game of Scrabble and go, I'm winning, so I'm going to leave the house now.
For starters, I think that would automatically count as a loss. I think part of the problem was that it was actually counting towards your overall ranking in the game, and people were artificially getting these rankings based on, well, essentially cheating. I don't know whether it is as endemic as I think it is. Perhaps I'm just one of these crotchety older gamers with this get off my lawn you kids attitude towards gaming in general. I did cut my teeth gaming on systems like the old Spectrum and so forth, so I'm not perhaps coming from a culture where it's okay to cheat to get ahead. I don't know whether Generation Y or whatever we're up to now, Generation Z or Generation Theta, are coming across with this mindset of must do anything to get ahead. But it is something I've been noticing, and it is something that is ruining online play for me. Yeah,
and when you say, is there a possibility of it being endemic, I would argue that there is. We have played and mentioned curling game, where after the first end, if somebody doesn't like their result, or indeed does like the result, and it's going to give them a win, they disappear.
And it doesn't count against them to do so. That's, I think, a problem that game developers are going to have to address. You are simply going to lose a lot of your clientele if simply by refusing to play any further you can win the game if you're ahead on points. I know I've mentioned the grenade jumping. That certainly ruined Call of Duty Modern Warfare for me. I don't bother playing that online anymore simply because somebody would jump over my grenades. Aimbots in other games where you turn on a machine which will actually do all your aiming and shooting for you, including shooting through walls. And it's all for these nebulous rankings. So, I don't know, perhaps the answer is to remove ranking from the game.
Well, yeah, potentially. I suppose it depends what it is that you're playing for. I fear that taking not the competitive element perhaps, but the overall competitive element of it, and the idea that you might be in a top 10 somewhere, might result in people not really wanting to play, but that's not potentially a bad thing if it gets rid of all the idiots who walk out after 10 minutes because they're already winning.
Exactly. So if you are a person who plays online games and you use any of these cheating or poor sportsmanship methods, well, shame on you.
Yeah, grr.
Yeah, you've been playing, Oblivion just lately.
Oh, Yeah, I have. My new graphics card has finally allowed me to hit the ultra high quality settings button, which thrilled me to bits, until I discovered that a game might well look good, but that doesn't increase any gameplay any at all. It really doesn't.
See, now, Oblivion, for those of you who have been living in a cave, is the successor to Morrowind.
Quite possibly.
The successor to Morrowind, and Morrowind, I know I loved it. I sucked at it. I was very bad at it, and I used to die all the time and get lost, frustrated, and killed by those damn flappy things that were everywhere. My initial foray into Oblivion I thought was quite positive. I loved the graphics, and the couple of quests that I managed to do before I got lost and kept dying all the time actually seemed quite fun. So what was the issue that you were having with it?
Well, the problem for me is that it's multiple issues, and I think I'll probably leave the vast majority of it for another time. But the gameplay of Morrowind compared to the gameplay of Oblivion, there is no comparison, and I'm sure I'll get people flaming me for this and saying that I'm a fangirl or something. But Morrowind is nearly 10 years old, and it remains one of the only games that I've ever stuck with. I got it in 2006, I think, and it was old even then, and in fact Oblivion had come out then. It was through Oblivion that I was introduced to Morrowind, and the sheer depth of the game and the character development and the political issues and just everything, the way that it's all been put together is terrific. With Oblivion, it's almost like they took a massive retrograde step in that the heads-up display is horrible, it's confusing, it doesn't make any sense. You get quest markers where you can just run straight at the arrow, straight at the compass point, and you don't have to think about it, you don't need to take directions. It's just, all the caves are the same, and don't get me started on the levelling system, because it completely destroys the game. It destroys it, and if they do that in Skyrim, I am never buying another Elder Scrolls game, and you have that on record. You do that in Skyrim, Bethesda, never again, never.
In other news, David Braben, the creator of the old school Elite game that I'm sure a lot of you older players will remember, has announced that he's not going to announce any announcements about Elite 4.
Sorry, he's not what? He's not announcing announcement?
David Braben writes, "We're not announcing anything yet. I'm not giving a timescale because that constitutes an announcement. If you announce an announcement, that's an announcement. Elite 4 is happening very slowly." To me, that's an announcement. He's working on Elite 4. He's completely mental, but you could also argue that that's where genius comes from. But he is working on Elite 4, and Elite 4 fills me with warm fuzzies because I love the original. I only mildly despise the sequel, and I even got into the massively multiplayer EVE Online because it promised to be a modern retelling of the original Elite story. So if Elite 4 is going to be a modern retelling of the original Elite story, then I think it's likely to be a win-win situation. I just hope that, like so many games over the years, that very slowly doesn't mean that it's just going to disappear in a puff of smoke. Now, I'm very enthusiastic about Elite. As I say, it's a game I grew up with. Jenny, it's probably a genre that has bypassed you completely.
So, yeah, I never had Elite, interestingly. I had a BBC Micro, but I never had Elite. In fact, did I have a BBC Master, I think? Yes, we had a BBC Master. Never had Elite. I don't know. I just never went there. I'm not really a spaceshipy sort of person, and therefore I couldn't make any educated judgments about it because I've never actually played it.
Well, it excites the crap out of me. Ultimately, I think what caught my attention as a kid was here I am in my very own spaceship, and I can fly wherever I want. I'm not tied down to flying down a corridor or running into one room after another like so many games were in the day. I could do what I wanted to do when I wanted to do it within the confines of the game, and it was massive. You could explore to your heart's content. Every planet had a different alien living on it, and you could buy and sell things and upgrade your ship and so forth. This is all stuff that's fairly standard with modern gaming, but I don't know, there's something about Braben. I'm sure that he's going to pull something out of the air somewhere and come up with a fantastic game, and if he doesn't...
let's hope he doesn't take him Duke Nukem type time limits to do it.
Well, even if he does, as long as it arrives before my last day on this planet, and as long as it doesn't suck as hard as Duke Nukem apparently did, I suspect I'll be a happy camper.
Okay, well, it's time for that part of the show where we tell you what we've found on the internet this week of any great interest. Rob, what have you got to contribute?
First of all, Woodkid. Now, Woodkid is a group that have a musical group that pretty much bypassed me completely. I think they've been around for a little while. To be honest, the bulk of their stuff isn't really me. But if you go onto YouTube and do a search for Woodkid and the song Iron, I-R-O-N, I think you'll find it to be absolutely fantastic. I just love this. And
It's a tremendous bit of music.
Not just the music, just have a look at the quality of the video and watch it in as high resolution as your computer will handle. And it's seamless, it's flawless, and it's great. So that will be my first. World of Tanks, I'm sure I've mentioned this before. I've been playing a little bit of World of Tanks recently. You can download it for free from worldoftanks.com and play it for free as much as you like. You will need the iron to run it on your computer. It does have some relatively high specs, but it is a rather fun game if you're just into a little bit of running around and shooting at things in your 90-ton iron behemoth.
Well, I've been messing about on YouTube this week, and it's been random YouTube videos for me. Now, normally, just clicking on the front page will get you all sorts of rubbish like rap music and Rebecca Black and tribute videos to whichever celebrity has recently died.
I won't have you putting down Rebecca Black. There is a
Really?
woman. There is a woman who has reached the absolute pinnacle of musical. I'm sorry, I can't even say that with a straight face.
I'm sorry, I can't believe you can say the word woman with a straight face, to be honest.
Okay, I'll let you carry on. Sorry, random YouTube videos.
No, that's fine, that's good. At least we know your opinion on these things now. However, yes, I discovered a program which really is there to get your own videos views. It's one of these kind of a view for review type programs where the more videos you view, the more views your own videos are going to get. However, I discovered that the software is actually quite useful for just digging out interesting things. It's when I come to promote the name of the software that there's a bit of an issue in some English-speaking countries. I have no idea why they decided to call this Vagex, because I'm fairly certain that that's a medication for an unpleasant condition where I'm from. I will be going down to the chemist on Monday morning just to reiterate that. However, it's a quick download. You set it to run. It gives you 30-second clips of videos before moving on to the next one, and you can either sit and completely ignore it, or you can do what I do, have the sound on, and as soon as something catches your ear, you can have a look who it is and note it down to have a look at it later.
Finishing up this section, Game Studio. Game Studio at observer.de. Now, this is a little German application which caught my attention because it gives you the ability to program fully functional 3D computer games with what amounts to very little programming experience. You will need to put a little bit of work into learning how this application works, but it's a fantastic way of breaking into the 3D multiplayer games market. You will be able to find a couple of examples of applications I've written on MordorBBS if you care to look in the gaming section, just to see what you can do with it. But yes, observer.de Game Studio, I can fully recommend it. Having had a look at Twitter over the last few days, I've been following a couple of celebrities. One of the things that is eminently worth doing on Twitter is following the celebrity tweets. Now, a lot of these guys really shouldn't be allowed on social media. There are some people who've really put their foot in it over the years.
Oh, do tell.
Well, he is not my cup of tea. I would never listen to his music, but follow 50 Cent on Twitter because he drops himself in it just about every 5 minutes. 50 Cent. Have a watch. You don't have to keep following him, but yeah, he's worth it. Chances are he's going to say something which is going to have you falling out of your seat.
Will it result in me being followed by lots of people who are interested in a genre of music that I wish would crawl under a rock and die?
Quite possibly. Certainly me following Stephen Fry. Now, Stephen Fry is just another name for God as far as I'm concerned. But I followed Stephen Fry and I got a lot of Twitter followers just from his audience, which I'm not complaining about. He's well worth the effort. Neil Gaiman is another one. He's a graphic novel author type person. He's well worth following. David Attenborough is unfortunately very quiet. He did give it a go. I think he logged in, created an account, left a rather enigmatic tweet about Lady Gaga, and then never came back again. So I'm waiting for him to get back into...
Embrace the concept.
Exactly,
yes,
embrace the
yeah.
concept of Twitter. But yes, there are a few surprising people out there if you know where to look. I have unfortunately not done so well in the Gameplay Jenny versus Signal Who's Got the Most New Twitter Followers This Week competition. I have lost 4 Twitter followers.
How? That's just careless. That's careless.
I don't know. It might have been my extended drunken tweet section, but it's entirely possible that they just found me eminently dull and went away. What about yourself?
Well, if I have a quick count here on my tweet deck, yes, I am discovering that it would appear that this week I have gained 8.
8. You've gained 8.
Yes, indeed.
Have 4 of them come from me because I want them back?
That's what I'm wondering. That's what I'm wondering. But they don't look like the sort of people who would follow you, to be frank.
What do you mean by that exactly?
Well, they're mostly poker related and people who like succulents.
That's not a euphemism for anything, is it?
No, it isn't, regardless
Okay.
of what we may or may not have been talking about earlier.
Right, so yes, if you want to follow either of us on Twitter, Gameplay Jenny is on Gameplay Jenny, and Signal is on Signal, spelled P-S-Y-G-N-A-L, because I'm special.
Thank you for listening to the MordorBBS Podcast. Don't forget that you can visit us online at www.MordorBBS.com.